Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I am Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer. And this week we are starting to talk about aerospace, one of our big industries that we care about on the Colorado Business Roundtable. So I'm excited to have in studio with me Jay Lindell. He is the Aerospace and Defense Champion of Colorado. How are you, Jay?
I am doing great. Of course, aerospace is always a great thing to be promoting, and it's always a great day in Colorado when you talk about aerospace. So doing good, Alex, and happy to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Yes, of course. Now, you've been with us for years talking aerospace, right?
Right, many times, yeah. Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate it. You have such good expertise, and you're always so enthusiastic about it. And you have the best title ever. You are literally titled champion.
You know, you're exactly right. And I get so many people asking me, hey, does the state need an assistant champion?
Yeah, exactly. Co-champion.
I got to remind, no. There's only one champion for aerospace. So.
Now, is that an industry you have to be born into? Are you going to give that to your children?
No. There's just this big champion belt that I hand down, that sort of thing. But I have the belt.
I'm sure that's on the office wall, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Now, what exactly does that entail, right? Because we do say champion, and we've joked about it before on the show, but what exactly does that job entail?
Right. Well, a little bit of background. I've been in the job over 4.5 years, and it was an initiative from Governor Hickenlooper, and it was really an industry call-out saying, hey, we've got this great industry in Colorado that creates so many jobs, innovative technology, it's growing, but we need someone to be this czar, and I've heard that term, or this champion. And a study was done, and the study said a champion for the industry sector, and the champion was completed roughly 2012 time frame with recommendations to the governor for the champion. And so one thing led to another, and I was consulting at the time, retired after a long Air Force career. I was an aerospace and defense industry consultant, and a job is advertised for an aerospace and defense industry champion. And I'm going, champion versus consultant? There's got to be, a little bit of, maybe not be additional pay, but hey, there's got to be stature in being a champion. And so one thing led to another. And I tell you, I have the best job in Colorado. I absolutely just love what I do. I love working with the aerospace industry, and so many great people really pushing innovative technology, growing their businesses. It's just a lot of fun to work with them. Oh,
yeah, I would imagine. Well, and so when did they give you the belt? Was that upon hiring? Was it in the background when you were interviewing? How did?
Well, that was the industry association who gave me the belt.
Okay.
So,
So one of the things that I believe Coloradans are well versed in, but maybe not nationally known at the forefront of people's mind, is that we're #1 per capita in the aerospace industry, right?
Right. We
That's
direct
amazing.
employment more than any other state in the nation per capita. And a lot of people really don't understand how big this industry sector is and what it means for jobs and what it means for our economy in Colorado. Not only these great paying jobs that induce other service support jobs in our economy, but the technology innovation, I think, is what really propels this industry sector to be such a catalyst for growth, whether it be from software, sensors, manufacturing, the advanced manufacturing. This aerospace industry is pulling hard on those requirements. It is so amazing, and where this industry sector just cross-pollinates so many other sectors of our economy. And you wouldn't even think agriculture, well, you start looking at farmers and ranchers and what they do now with the GPS systems especially. In fact, last week I was on a Colorado Space Business Roundtable. We were on a rural outreach event, and we're talking to, this is now Alamosa, a unmanned air systems operator, and horses had got out of a corral, and this rancher couldn't find them. It had been a day, couldn't find them. He called this unmanned aero systems operator using GPS, obviously, to help him fly and navigate. Found the horses and even herded the horses back into a corral. But that is The sensors were able to spot the horses on the unmanned system, the GPS navigation, come back to the corral, and herd the. That is technology, and the unbelievable technology used today from space satellite sensors in forest firefighting efforts in Colorado, saving lives, Alex. And so it's amazing, not only in industry but in emergency management and what people are doing to improve their lives and save lives. It's just amazing.
It is amazing. So, and for those of us that may not know, this unmanned aircraft system, UAS, is typically referred to as drones, right?
Drones, right.
Yeah. I just, because I learned that fairly recently myself. So I want to make sure everyone is on the same page with that. There was recently legislation passed on making sure that civilians that are in the area using drones aren't getting in the way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Now law that if you interfere, it can be up to a felony offense actually at the federal level to interfere with forest fighting. So you just can't go out there and want to take pictures, think hey, this is amazing pictures. No. If you're interfering with the ongoing efforts, that could be a very stiff fine.
Yeah, absolutely, and rightfully so. I believe.
I agree. Yes.
Everyone, it's great to have a drone and definitely get your pictures out there. But if you know that you're in an area where they're trying to fight crime or fight a fire, just back off a little bit.
Back off. Yes.
So the other side of Colorado is that we're number 2 nationwide outside of per capita.
Right.
How can we get to be number 1 overall? Is that in our sights?
We're making slow gains. We need to really double our workforce when we say number 1 in terms of dollars with that big state called California on the West Coast. It employs nearly double the amount of workers that we employ. However, we attract a lot of business coming to Colorado due to consolidation, starting new business out of California to Colorado. It's because of our business climate here in Colorado, as well as the opportunities for business-to-business collaboration in our great state of Colorado. So we're doing a fine job at attracting business, growing business. We've had, in fact, in 2017, we had a 4.7% revenue growth in aerospace in Colorado and nearly a 6.5% employment growth in Colorado. So this industry sector is robust, dynamic, it's growing, creating jobs, creating new technologies for Coloradans, if you will.
Yeah. 1.6% employee growth.
Oh, much more than that. 6.5%.
6.5%. Well, I clearly heard what I wanted to on that.
Yeah. We are growing and outpacing many other industry sectors. In employment growth, actually, it's our IT, professional technical services, that actually grew a little bit faster than aerospace. But so much of aerospace in Colorado is all about information software and development. And the software that goes into sensor integration on these marvelous satellites, turning data into real information, all the data analytics that go with it. So really, there's so much between software, information technology, and aerospace. Yeah.
So one of the things that I've definitely learned in the time that I've been here is that there's so much more about the aerospace industry that you don't think about, right?
Right.
Manufacturing's huge. As you said, farming and agriculture, again, something I wouldn't have put 2 and 2 together on that at all. But when we look at aerospace, it's not just rockets.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about that and maybe an overview of what else it entails, right?
Globally, big picture here. Globally, it's a $350 billion industry sector, and projected in the 2030s to be over $1 trillion billion economy globally. Now, in the U.S., has the largest share of this $350 billion industry.
Woohoo!
Well, yeah. We are an aerospace faring nation, and if you boil it down, we are a space-faring nation. We are first in space. We want to stay there. It means so much to our economy, and it means so much to our national security. And we've got to be able to defend, protect it, and it really comes down to our way of life, how space is involved in you start looking through what we do every day, space is there. You may not know it, but space is there, powering this global information system through position, navigation, and timing, the transfer of communication around the world, ATM transaction. If our satellites went down that enabled a timing signal in the global information system, you wouldn't be able to get an ATM transaction complete.
Oh my
That's
God.
how important it is. And when you talk to economists, you know,
now I care. Now
yeah,
I
yeah,
care.
it's immeasurable. It's immeasurable what it
Yeah.
means to the economy. So our way of life is so indebted, and so look at space and what we do. In fact, I came here today with I remembered about where you were. I didn't have a
That's all right.
GPS navigating here. So this is where I said where we're growing. It's dynamic and robust, and it's really interesting nationally now is Space Policy Directive. And the first time in 25 years, the Space Council, the National Space Council, has stood up on direction of the President and now giving direction to this industry and to government to align so we all get on the same page. And I haven't seen this amount of alignment in terms of national space policy on where we're going, what we need to do, and the budget and the dollars to back it up. So we've had roughly a 20% increase in the NASA budget, and that's great news for Colorado.
That's huge.
That's huge because we have so much NASA-funded programs here in Colorado, and a significant increase in the national security space budget. And so with headquarters Air Force Space Command located right here in Colorado, and all the national security space programs there are in Colorado, by the way, 61% of our space economy based on defense, and those dollars increasing. So that means a lot to jobs for Colorado and more technologies to be developed, and the future's bright, Alex. The future's bright in space.
Well, yeah, there's been so many things that have happened recently, and you mentioned the 20% increase in the NASA budget, which is huge. First of all, for an increase that big in any government entity, right? Let alone NASA, which had been money taken out of it year after year for several years, right? So we're finally getting back and able to explore. What do you think caused that trend? Why do you think the government's more interested in that? Is it more of a defense, or do you think it's more of a thought to getting back to exploring space?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I think our nation, ever since the end of the space shuttle program, we haven't had a space program. And we do not have a means today, only 2 nations in the world, that can put humans in space. And the U.S. is not one of them. And we have to rely on the Russians to transport our astronauts today to the International Space Station. We do not have that capability. And we've lost that capability as a nation since we put dollars otherwise and didn't have an alignment of space policy. But we're getting back there. Mm-hmm. In fact, we will, a lot of important programs right here in Colorado will enable us to get back to be able on our own to put humans back to space, not only to the International Space Station, but beyond our planet, beyond the cislunar space to Mars. And those programs are happening right here in Colorado. Which
is huge, right? So
it's huge.
Yeah, I remember being little and the whole Martian mentality, right?
Right.
I wanted to live on a different planet for sure. We're kind of ruining this one, so let's make room on another one. But it was such a fantasy, right? That's not possible. Not in my lifetime. Lo and behold, our plan is 2030, 2035, right?
The numbers, the dates that, that really come around, they do. Yeah. But I've heard at least to orbit Mars roughly in the 2028 time frame, and maybe within about 5 years in 2033 be able to actually put humans on Mars. But a lot of things have to happen, a lot of policy decisions, and the dollars to back up policy need to be there. So we have a long ways to go, but at least we're stating goals,
Yeah.
which is important as a nation, as a spacefaring nation, and getting back to being the leader in the world in space.
Yes. And so being the leader, how long do you think that'll take? Is that short-term or long-term goal?
Well, I take that back. Today, with our space exploration programs in NASA, National Security Space, we are a leader in space in the world, marginally, but we see acceleration of technology and other nations that are catching up to us. And if we continue this trend and not put the dollars there, we won't be the leader. So Congress, in a recently approved budgets, are now putting the dollars where they need to be. So the United States of America, the spacefaring nation we are, and so dependent on space, we're getting back to leading the world again in space.
And I'm hoping that budget stays up and continues to grow a little bit each year.
Yes.
Yeah, 20% increase was amazing. Maybe one day we'll get up to 50%. Is that lofty for us?
Well, that might be a stretch, but it'd be great if it was.
One of the great things about our nation is that we allow competitiveness, right?
Right.
So I'm going to change gears a little bit here on you, and I want to talk about SpaceX, right? So this is privately funded. Now, we have other industries like UAL that are private, but they're also really they have a lot of government contracts, which covers a lot of the bills, and they have an outstanding record of launches, right? Over 130, I believe, at this point.
Right.
That no issues have aligned. So there's a little bit of competition between SpaceX and UAL because SpaceX looks at this as more of a, I guess, being able to bring it back to the people as opposed to government funded.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, just a point of note, now SpaceX has some large government contracts too.
Absolutely.
So obviously a lot of private investment to get them off the ground, but also they're growing because of their government contracts. But overall, in the industry, competition is good. It drives innovation, it drives technology advancement, it drives the industry to be much more efficient. And overall for the industry, it is great news to have multiple industry partners engaged and sometimes collaborating, sometimes competing. But overall, this is very good for the industry. Not only SpaceX, but the Blue Origins and all these other new entrants are good for the industry.
Which is first of all, great to hear you say, but maybe has not aligned with a lot of the industries that are established out there, right? They kind of look a little bit down on SpaceX, and that probably comes from they're the new guy, right? And they've got a little bit, they're a little bit not loftier, excuse me, a little bit more open, I think, with the way they want to do things.
Yeah, but, industry here in Colorado at the same point would welcome competition.
Oh, absolutely.
And they'll say that publicly. We welcome competition in the industry, and there's opportunities possibly for partnering and collaboration. And so that's a part of business growth and business development. And the technology advancement is all good across the sector.
Yeah. I love your statement on that. Thank you. We talked a little bit before we got on air here about space resources, right? I'd asked you about the space mining program that's going on. And so School of Mines, which you told me has a grad program dedicated to space resources, which is amazing.
Amazing.
That is so fascinating.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Well, you think of the Colorado School of Mines, this is a school that started way back when we were talking terrestrial mining capability and the geology and the basis and the study of science for mining. But here we are now focusing on beyond Earth, and Space Resources is a graduate program dedicated to space mining.
Yeah. We have several different kinds of mining going on in Colorado, and we've got Bitcoin, which is like cyber money mining.
Cyber money.
But this is just fascinating to me. The first time I read about it, I thought about Armageddon, right? Like, are we going on an asteroid and actually mining like that? But we are.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. Or at least we're studying the science and
Yes.
what would be involved, what would be the cost, what would be the economic return from such a thing, and is it really? I guess you would really have to wait and see, are there dollars to be made in the industry? Now, if you're efficient enough in the practice, and I think this needs more study, but at least we're having the discussion, we're having the study, and we have courses on it, so that's great.
Yeah.
And who knows, finding that precious metal on an asteroid that you can't find anywhere else, or in least limited quantities, that could be... that could be, if I use the phrase, striking gold.
I should boo you for that one. You got me. Well, and this is fascinating to think about, right? Because we do know that there are quite a few elements on asteroids that we know are there,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
But is there a chance that there's stuff that we're not sure of?
Oh, for sure.
Bringing that
for
back.
sure. That's the marvel of space that intrigues science so much is we don't know what's out there for sure. In fact, we're learning so much right now about Mars, and after for over 25, I think nearly 30 years, we've had landers on Mars studying it and the atmosphere and doing soil. We're still learning new stuff about Mars every day. It's what we don't know that intrigues us so much. And who knows really what we think we know what's on these asteroids, but there's so much we don't know. There's so much about our solar system, if you will, let alone just between our nearest planet,
right.
What we don't know. And we're still discovering things about the moon.
Yeah. So it's not made of cheese.
I think we figured that out.
Okay. I had to confirm
But
it.
you can't be. We're finding lakes of water. Maybe there's cheese there too.
You never know.
Yeah.
I have to get it confirmed, from my champion here that we got. So we got about 3 minutes left, Jay. I want to ask you, would you ever go to Mars if the opportunity came up for you?
Wow.
I didn't tell you I was going to go there.
At this point, I go, some days I think I feel like I'm too old for this. But could I do it? Yes.
You would? Okay.
Yeah. That would be so exciting to do, And you know what I would love? I'd love the opportunity to, and this is the thing that astronauts, when I have a chance to talk to them about space, and one thing is looking at the blue marble, our planet, from outer space. And they didn't realize what a beautiful planet we live on, and how it's just amazing, and how this whole world, and you see it without borders, and you see it without divisions, and how we all have to work together to promote the science and technology and promote Earth. Mm-hmm. And they bring back this sense that they haven't really felt as deeply before when you're able to see our beautiful planet from outer space. And so I think venturing into outer space just to look at our planet from, more than just a photograph, mm-hmm. and to see it with your own eyes would be something. And the same thing on other planets and so forth. And wow, to experience that would be just fantastic.
It absolutely would. And one of the things that I've mentioned to you before and to our audience several times, I used to be a flight attendant, and even just seeing the world from the cockpit of an airplane that doesn't go over 40,000 feet, right?
Right.
It's an amazing view up there, and you see the curvature, and you get to see the blue, and you get to chase the sun sometimes, and that's fascinating. But to see it as a whole, right?
Right.
It's giving me goosebumps.
I think your words, as a whole, that
Exactly.
we're all in this together.
We really are. Thank you so much, Jay. We're going to come back. We have a quick commercial break here. It's going to be about 5 minutes, so stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate. Again, I have Jay Lindell, Aerospace and Defense Champion. He's going to tell me where that belt is so that I can take that down from outside of his office. So stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate. Like and subscribe our YouTube page while you're here. Find this podcast and more at cobrt.com/radio-podcast. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. Once again, I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer. And one of the things I did not ask the audience to do before we went to break was to log on to cobrt.com and check out our events page. Monday, August 20th, we are having our second annual View from the Top event. So please sign up for that. But also, I have Jay Lindell, again, Aerospace and Defense Champion, here with me. How are you, Jay? Welcome back.
Doing well. Great to be here. Great to be back.
Yes, we're so happy to have you. You're always so enthusiastic. You're a great champion for aerospace, actually. But you mentioned on the break here that August 19th is kind of a significant date for you.
It is, yes. Yeah. So 6 months ago, roughly 6 months to that day, the state of Colorado submitted an application to the FAA to have the Front Range Airport licensed, a site license, as a spaceport. Yeah, and so we would join roughly 9 other states now as having a spaceport located within the state. So that's important to Colorado. Yeah, it's important for us as a spacefaring state to market and brand our state as a spaceport state, that we're open to the research and development of new technologies that'll lead someday to suborbital human space travel.
Oh my gosh, that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
So as far as spaceport is concerned with aviation, maybe are we?
Yeah, and so so the technology that we're really talking about here, we're many years until the maturity of technology to enable, if you will, space planes that can take off under their own propulsion systems in a horizontal launch, not a vertical launch like rocket propulsion, but this would be a horizontal launch, enabling enough energy and propulsion to get to at least suborbital space and fly from Denver to Tokyo in 2 hours. And under its own propulsion, be able to maneuver to a landing at across the Pacific airport or across the Atlantic airport and land with passengers, paying passengers on board. And oh, by the way, Boeing has recently announced the development of a hypersonic, not supersonic, hypersonic, so we're talking 5 times the speed of sound roughly, airliner development. Now, we're probably at least a decade, you probably could say 2 decades in technology development, but it's important for our state to say we're open. We're a spaceport state. We want to attract business, attract the R&D institutions, attract the public institutions that have money to invest in this technology development, and Colorado's wide open. Come spend your dollars here. We've got great business. We've got great institutions. We're a spaceport state, and we want to develop the technology to lead us someday to enable space flying planes.
Yeah. That is fascinating, because you did not get into that detail on the break with me, and I appreciate that, because my reaction is very real. So I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah, and so right now Adams County has the lead because Front Range Airport is actually in Adams County, and their Economic Development Corporation and their chamber and the county commissioners are now looking at the announcement date that'll happen and how do we make this a newsworthy event. So I
would like to be there.
Yeah, for sure.
I will
the Business Roundtable for sure needs to be engaged in this. Yes,
absolutely. So this announcement, the due date's August 19th, which is a Sunday, but you're hoping to hear about it the 17th. Right?
Yes, the 17th or earlier, and I've been in conversation. It's led by Adams County, but how do they make this announcement? And getting state legislative officials involved into it also, and congressional delegation staff. Oh, by the way, our congressional delegation has been fully supportive, signing a letter on the initial application and the governor to support this site license for Front Range Airport.
That is amazing. So that's hopefully that will have no problems going through, and we can start building on that. What year do you think would we be able to start? Because there's already an airport there, right?
There's already an airport, and there's already business today.
Yeah.
doing research and development on hypersonic propulsion technology today out at the Front Range Airport. So we're already there.
It's just a matter of crossing the T's and dotting the I's.
Yes, cross the T's, dotting the I's, and then publicly to the world, Colorado, a spaceport state.
Yes, yes. And finally, right, get the recognition that we deserve. Now, you mentioned our congressional leaders being key in this, but there are several trade associations that are huge in Colorado that love to promote aerospace.
Yes.
So I want to take a minute, and I know you do too, to thank some of those trade associations.
Yes. Our trade associations are really key to marketing and branding aerospace in the state of Colorado. And what the state really does is become a catalyst with some funding that's approved by the legislature to support these trade associations to market, brand, tell the story. So the Colorado Space Coalition, which is headquartered with the Metro Denver EDC, represents city, county, and Denver and 8 surrounding counties. So they do a great job through the coalition of marketing, branding, getting the word out, and so forth, and sponsoring events. And they do a lot of manning and staffing at display tables. And an event coming up here the week after next, and this will be, next week.
Next week,
yeah. Next week will be the Small Satellite Conference. And this is out at Utah State University at Logan. It'll be 2,500 roughly participants, 200 plus displays, and we will be there with approximately 30 to 35 businesses representing Colorado. And we'll have a display. It'll be the Colorado Space Coalition will be staffing and manning the display, furnishing all the marketing materials. But we collaborate with them, and the state helps sponsor the display. So that is a great event, an example of a trade association really doing the marketing and branding efforts. And another very important organization is the Colorado Space Business Roundtable, and they hold many forums and events to get the word out. They set up the Aerospace Day at the Capitol that we have every year with our state legislature. Oh, by the way, next year it'll be on March 18th, a Monday, March 18th at the Capitol.
Right.
So we've already got that date on the calendar. The Business Roundtable will be leading and putting that event together.
Yes.
And so this organization, the Colorado Business Roundtable, does a great job at getting the word out on events, forum discussions, advertising, all those wonderful things that are happening, that people, networking events.
Yes.
And you've held many aerospace-related networking events right here at your facility, which included one Aerospace Week. It was the days following the Aerospace Day at the Capitol, but partnering with the Citizens for Space Exploration, held a networking event here that was well attended by many people. And again, another organization, not necessarily a trade association, but if somebody doesn't know how to be involved and they just are a space advocate or space zealot and want to know more, but aren't a member of a business or trade association, join the Citizens for Space Exploration.
Absolutely.
And that's a website. You can quickly just look at Citizens for Space. You can put Colorado and Colorado Citizen and find all the information you need about learning more about aerospace in Colorado and becoming a informed public advocate for aerospace.
Yes, and actually one of the exciting things that they do every year is they make their march into D.C.
Yes.
to go vote, or to get our legislators to vote on upping that NASA budget, right?
Exactly.
They are key,
and those
key
are
workers.
And we have a large attendance led by Stacy DeFore that went in May to meet with our congressional delegation, and all the other state chapters meeting with their delegation too. So that public advocacy is very important.
It's huge. I think they had something like 400 students march into each legislator's office.
Yes.
Take the time to listen to why you need to approve this budget, and they did a wonderful job.
A wonderful job. And I must say, not only our trade associations that work hard at promoting aerospace in Colorado, our congressional delegation. They really come together well. If it's a aerospace position to support so far, the governor has done a great job promoting aerospace in Colorado. And so, and it became very apparent to me. Last week, I attended the annual Aerospace States Association meeting. It was held in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I represented the state of Colorado at the event. It's attended generally by lieutenant governors. Many can't make it, so they have a trade association member, in our case from Colorado. Since I have the position in economic development, I represented the state of Colorado. But talking with the other states, and we all gave presentations on what's going on in the state of Colorado and how we advocate, we by far, it was apparent to me that in Colorado, we are a well-connected, well-networked, collaborate better than any other state when it comes to connecting business, government, policy, research, and development better than any other state. And I think that's part of why we're such a leader in aerospace.
Yeah, I would imagine. Now, do me a favor. Stick your arm out.
Okay.
All right, and then we're going to go up. And then go ahead and pat ourselves on the back.
Well, not me. It's
not
everybody.
You, no, it is everybody.
It's everybody.
We're
part
Coloradans.
Of it. Yeah. And and also our state legislature has an Aerospace and Defense Caucus. I don't think too many states necessarily have a caucus that's just about connecting, collaborating. What is it from a state policy perspective we can do better? And our first meeting will be in January when our legislature is back in session. With our caucus, we'll have a caucus meeting, generally a luncheon function, and that's important too, to promote this industry in Colorado.
Yes. I know one of the things that we definitely need to talk about here is the technology development.
Yes.
Right? We got some programs here. We got advanced manufacturing, 3D printing, CubeSat technology.
It's it's happening so fast.
Right?
And let me just talk about advanced manufacturing. 4 years ago, I'd walk into business and they would generally have a prototype machine, probably prototyping with polymers on some devices they're making. Now I walk into those same businesses that got full up 3D manufacturing equipment. They're actually printing in different alloys, different metals, certified aerospace parts and manufacturing through this additive process. The technology in additive manufacturing has advanced so fast, continues to advance. It's amazing, and this aerospace industry is pulling so hard on those requirements. And I think because a lot of parts, it's not a huge supply run with thousands of parts. It may be one-off, especially for this satellite system they're building, or small numbers of pieces, and it's designed and it fits right in with the aerospace industry on this 3D printing process of manufacturing. So it's amazing how fast that technology has advanced. And when I mentioned the Aerospace States Association, one of our major discussions on that we talked about was 3D manufacturing or additive process of manufacturing in the aerospace sector. Yeah.
It's a huge industry.
Yeah, huge. And the other is, I'll say, the advancement in autonomous learning or machine learning, artificial intelligence. And that is advancing fast in this industry sector too, very fast. Some of it is due to national security requirements. Some of it is just because you've got satellites with capabilities spilling gigabytes of data per second. But no, we can't design software that operates fast enough to decipher the data into things we want to know. So it's the advancement of AI that cannot look at this data and learn and come up with the anomalies and so forth, and everything it's seen through, whether it be geospatial or data gathered through other sensors. They want to know real information from. So that technology is rapidly advancing in the aerospace sector.
That is fascinating stuff, and it's AI, I think people are a little intimidated by it. You take one of two stances, is what I've found most people in their camps. You're either terrified of it or you're super into it, right?
Right.
There's not a whole lot of leeway. It's one or the other. And it's fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Yeah, I highly recommend people do some research on that. But we got to talk about the downside of, although we are advancing as quickly as we can on this, we are lacking the employment
Right.
Right?
Right.
Good employees
Yes.
are hard to come by. We're at 2.9%, if not lower at this point.
Right.
Unemployment rate, which is huge in Colorado. We're below the national average, have been for a couple of years. Workforce development is key.
Yes.
In
it
this
is
industry.
Key. Yes.
Yeah.
In
Well,
fact,
in many, but
yeah, I walk into business daily. And is there issues that the state can help you with? How do we help you grow? And they'll just look at me and just say, workforce, workforce, workforce. We cannot find enough skilled, talented people to fill the jobs that we have open. And they need help. And it's not only engineering talent, it's technician level talent.
right.
That we need to do a better job at developing our people. I guess I'm talking education system, really.
Yeah.
To fill these jobs, and as fast as this technology is advancing, I don't think our education system is keeping up with it fast enough to get the right skill sets needed by industry here to be employable. And so part of the issue is the big companies here in Colorado can afford the capital and time to invest in job training programs.
Right.
But your smalls, which is a majority, 85% of this industry sector, number of companies are small business, don't necessarily have the capital and time. So they need more ready-to-go workers, and that's difficult unless you pull them from somebody else, your competimates, if you will, but other companies that get tired of corporate grind and so forth want to work for a small business. So that's tough, and it's not only an aerospace issue, it's through all our advanced industries in Colorado. And I'll say it to a degree a national problem, but I think because of the high level of technology sophistication in aerospace, it's probably a little more acute in this sector with this workforce development problem.
I would highly agree with you, and we know for a fact one of the bigger industries within aerospace industry is the manufacturing aspect, right?
Yes. They're
hurting across the board, whether it's for aerospace companies that these manufacturers are working for or just manufacturing itself. It's a tough time.
It's a tough time. Yeah.
And you mentioned this reforming education. I know a lot of colleges are trying to spread their wings and focus a little bit more on certificates rather than degrees, right? Like, yes, it'd be great to have a bachelor's degree, but a lot of the manufacturing jobs don't need you to have a bachelor's degree.
Exactly.
You need a 6-month certificate. Go get that. It's easier. You're going to make great money, too, is the other side. It's that blue-collar mentality I think is still placed on manufacturing, and it really shouldn't be these days, right? It's a great job. You can get good benefits.
Great job, great benefits, and our own industry data tends to show that, especially in aerospace, we tend to be older white male generated, but there's a lot of retirees coming out oriented. But there's great jobs for all kinds of people, and not just engineering technicians. But just like any big business, you need a lot of program management. You need a lot of financial analysts.
Yes.
You need HR, human relations people. You need government affairs people.
Yeah.
Others that specialize in policy and so forth. So
you
there's
need PR people, right?
Yes.
Get the word out there about aerospace.
Get the word. So there's a lot of great jobs in the aerospace sector,
There was one thing that you said to me, though, before we started the show, was that I believe it was Boulder. CU Boulder.
Okay.
They saw an increase.
Yes. Oh, yes. And this was Dean Bobby Braun at an event that I was recently at was talking about. He was so proud that coming into the School of Engineering with a freshman class, those that have stated intent so far, it's 40% of the incoming class in engineering, the stated intent to be engineering majors, are women. And that is almost
exciting.
Yeah, almost double the numbers they had just years ago.
Right. And we're talking less than 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Double the numbers, 40%. That is so exciting. I would love to see more women, heading engineering departments and being technicians, right?
Right.
And as much as I say that, I personally never showed any interest in wanting to be in engineering. I thought it was going to be boring.
And I think that's the issue.
It wasn't projected well to me.
Yeah. There's a job for you in aerospace. And so I think more and more people understanding that. Not only gender and race diversity, but all kinds of ethnic backgrounds and skills and requirements. It's all there for you.
Yeah.
There's great jobs, great paying jobs. There's a place for you in this industry sector.
Are you saying I should leave radio?
Well, no. I think you have a special skill set.
Yes, and I get to talk to aerospace experts all the time. We do at least an aerospace week focus on the Connect and Collaborate radio show twice a year at the very least. And we did one, as you know, back in March for the Aerospace Day at the Capitol and the following events.
Yeah.
We had an aerospace-themed radio show every day that week, which was wonderful, right? I got to learn so much. I really did. And I was like, man, I really took the wrong career path, maybe. But I feel good where I'm at.
No, the industry needs you. It needs you.
I get to shine a bright light on aerospace, which
there you go.
Super awesome. But I agree. I think we need more women at the forefront, and I think we're getting there. As you said, 40% of the engineering freshman class at CU Boulder are women, and that's huge kudos to the girls out there that are wanting this to be their major and following their life dream to get hopefully into the aerospace industry, right? That's where we need you. So if you could stay in Colorado too, that would be ideal,
and
right?
It's not only there's electrical, computer science, mechanical. They're open to all career fields.
Yes, absolutely.
In this great sector, yes.
Yeah, just stay in Colorado.
Just stay. Oh yeah. Great paying jobs here in Colorado.
Exactly. We need you. Let's talk about keeping this sector growing. So even despite the fact that we are having trouble getting employees, how can we keep this aerospace sector growing?
Well, one is sustained budgets. We talked about the budget increases that we recently had, but that has to be sustained over many years to really, and predictable budgets for the industry sector that can count on lead times for these programs and so forth. And so our congressional delegation does a good job of understanding that, promoting it, and so we got to keep advocating, make sure they're well informed on these issues, supporting the aerospace, but it's all advanced industry sectors, really. And our delegation, like I said, does a great job of that. So we need to keep doing that since we're so heavily government funded here, federal government funded in Colorado. The other is inspiring kids, and we all have a responsibility. I feel a responsibility, and I promote some Dream Big events to help inspire kids at high schools and so forth, but it's all about STEM. And STEAM, you know, the arts are part of it, your creative juices and all that, STEAM, STEM, whatever you want to call it, but it's about inspiration and being and learning about this aerospace sector, that there's a place for you. You don't have to be the expert in algebra, as we were talking but there's a place for you in this industry sector. And it's so exciting where this world is going, where our nation is going, and Colorado's a big part of it. So I think parents, grandparents, teachers, educators, friends, family, relatives, business leaders, we all have a responsibility to inspire our youth for the future. And it's amazing. Educators will tell me you've got to get them inspired at a young age, primary age.
Right.
And so whenever you get a chance or an opportunity to talk with them, do it.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. When you see your kid building the blocks and you know, look at him, he likes to make things with his hands. Don't just think architect. Think about the manufacturing. Think about the engineering.
Exactly.
Right? Think about the aerospace industry. It's not just astronauts.
Right.
Somebody's got to get them there.
There's a place for you.
I love that. So in this last minute, I'm going to have you go over your historical inflection point.
It's all about 2018. When I look at the budgets and I look at the programs, I look at the national policy alignment of where our nation is going. I think we're going to look back here in 5 years from now and look at 2005, 10, whatever it may be, and look at 2018 as really an inflection point for this industry.
All right. And what do you mean by inflection point?
I mean, that's where technology ramps up, programs ramp up, they increase at an increasing rate. So not only increase, but an increasing rate of growth. Yes.
I like that. So where can I find you if I need to get in touch about aerospace stuff that's going on?
Well, I worked in a Colorado office, Economic Development and International Trade, and anybody that's obviously can get in touch with me if you know anybody or our website and so forth.
Yeah.
But j.lindell@state.co.us and because I'm on the run so much, and
Yes.
that probably email is the best way to get a hold of me at times.
Yes, we appreciate that, Jay. Again, Jay Lindell, Aerospace and Defense Champion. It's the greatest title ever. I'm going to get to champion one day, too.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you for kicking off our second series of Aerospace Week this
My
week.
pleasure being here. Thank you very much for the invite.
Of course. Have a wonderful day.